Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John, this is many a true nerd, and welcome to Orwell, Ignorance is Strength. I loved the original Orwell. The original Orwell was basically a game about sifting through large amounts of information, like, hacked email accounts, hacked phones, that sort of thing, trying to piece together information, figuring out what you thought was true, what you thought was a lie. It was a really good game about examining biases, building a case, and dealing with some really interesting and modern moral quandaries about liberty versus security. Oh, it was just good. It was just a really, really damn good game. And now there's a new one, Orwell, Ignorance is Strength. Oh, yes. I've been looking forward to this one from the moment I heard it was about to happen. Also, having played the first game, I now know that this is important. It asks you to select a profile pic when you sign up out of a very small, limited selection. I've gone for this one. It's going to be important because at some point late in the game, this photo is going to come up and there's going to be dramatic music, and that's going to be because somehow I'm actually implicated in something. So remember that's there, because that's important. Please agree to the following terms. I'm willing to severely affect the lives of citizens and non-citizens of the nation. I will do whatever is necessary to keep the nation from harm. While working, I will only adhere to the statutes and principles of the office. I will totally do that until I go rogue and decide to turn on the state, because that's kind of what I do in these games. Though what I like is that is genuinely actually a choice. If you want to, you don't need to go rogue and turn on the state. You can totally decide to just be a loyal state agent. So next up, Aptitude test. In order to qualify for special duty within Orwell, taking the Aptitude test is mandatory. The test requires you to complete a set of tasks. Follow the on-screen instructions carefully, answer truthfully to the best of your beliefs. Note that an insufficient test result will disqualify you from special duty permanently. Okay, very well. Task 1. Which of the following statements are true to your attitude? Drop and drag at least one of the highlighted statements. Date chunks. This isn't just a test, this is also vaguely kind of introducing how you do stuff in this game. Basically, you read documents and certain bits are highlighted, you grab those and you pull them over to a little kind of profile, in this case, the profile of me, and that's kind of how you actually kind of build a case file about an individual. Marvellous. So, I want to be a pioneer in the most advanced security program. I want to make the nation a safer place. I like spying on people. I want to protect people from harm. I'm in it for the money. I want to protect people from harm. So I grab that, move that over here, that gets uploaded, and now that's permanently recorded against my profile. So that's what I'll be doing to other people as time goes on. Which of the following persons do you consider likely to have committed a crime? Well, none of them, because I've got no evidence. Can I just skip this stage? I'd like to skip this stage. Oh, good, I can! Excellent. Answering none of the above is an acceptable answer. Yeah, in the absence of evidence, I'm not going to assume anyone committed a crime, thank you, but that's the level of uncomfortable this game likes to make you. Right, flipping there. Which of the following statements do you consider to be true, if any? So again, I don't need to answer anything. An unjust law can and should be violated. There is no such thing as a justified lie. There are two sides to every story. A government should safeguard the citizens by any means necessary. Absolute truth exists. Probably, if I had to go for one of them, and I don't, but I'm going to anyway, there are two sides to every story, because even if sometimes one side is incredibly flimsy, and one side is incredibly strong, and in some cases kind of trying to present two sides of an argument as equivalents, like saying, well, some people believe the Earth is a sphere, and some people believe it's flat, and kind of presenting these two options as equal, that's bad. But there are two sides to every story, even if sometimes, one side is really, really by far the weaker. But, everyone's the hero of their own story. Everyone believes what they're doing is justified. So I am going to say yes to that. Task 4. Given the choice, would you prefer to have your own medical record or your dating profile investigated? Interesting. Probably I'd have to say dating profile, just because I've not really got any skeletons there. I've had a fair few relationships over the years, but none of them I'm in any way particularly embarrassed by, so I will just basically have that over there. There you go. Marvellous. Upload complete. Move on. Task 5. Which information from your dating profile would you give to an investigator willingly? Okay, profile picture, duration of last relationship, sexual orientation, full transcripts of all chats, sexual preferences and quirks. Well, none of the above, really. I mean, because it's not really any of their business. Like, if they want to go and, get a a court thing that lets them kind of take that, then I suppose I probably can't stop them. But no, I wouldn't actually hand over any of that voluntarily, so I'm going to skip that then. So possibly I've just been kind of called out there where I said, oh yeah, I'd totally rather have that investigated. That doesn't mean I'm going to actually hand it over voluntarily though. Confronted with the situation below, what action would you take? Your best friend boasts about having been accepted into Orwell. Since you are working for Orwell yourself, you know that talking about your job is punishable by imprisonment. Okay, without saying anything to my friend, I inform the national authorities of the next possibility. I warn my friend I'm working for Orwell too, and I will have to inform the authorities if this continues. Feign ignorance, but hint my friend talking about such a delicate job might not be advisable. Do nothing. Interesting. Yeah, this game likes throwing actual, proper, quite hard moral dilemmas at you. Intriguing. I think I'd probably go for, feigning ignorance, but hint to my friend that you probably don't want to be talking about that. Yeah, I mean, I hope that's what I'd do. I really would like to think that's what I'd do anyway, so hopefully, yes. Move straight on here. And insufficient results. You failed the aptitude test, you'll be disqualified immediately. Oh dear. Right, so unfortunately, that's actually a bad idea because I'm not actually allowed to actually play the game. Oh, unfortunately, my choices were poor. Let me read you the test. Unless this is part of the test too. Okay, no. I'm going to say I cannot change my answers. They reflect my honest opinions. I accept the disqualification because this might actually be part of the test and only people that say this get let in. You see? Possibly that's actually...
Hello, O'Brien. Is that you?
I have to disappoint you.
What? Raban, what? How? After all this time? I didn't think you...
Remember what you did? Again, I must disappoint you. I've not been blessed with a short memory.
What? Raban, listen. It wasn't me. I don't know anything about what happened there. That's the truth.
Truth. See, I never had much regard for the Bible, but there's one remarkable, groundbreaking moment. Before being sentenced to death, Jesus goes on and on about being a witness for the truth. But Pilate defies him with the simplest of all questions. What is truth? It is this particular question I've been pondering over for a very long time now. How much of the information ending up on our screens every single day has passed through so many other minds before, each one with their own bias and agenda. It is all cut down to size, proportioned, ready to be consumed. And yet we greedily swallow it all in blissful ignorance, because our hunger is unending.
Stop the nonsense and get to the point. What do you want?
To ask you a question. What is truth?
I don't understand.
Now you're the disappointing one. You of all people should, Oleg Bakay. There is only one thing about truth that is certain. Truth is dead. As you soon will be.
What? Why? You? How did you manage? How? Vart! Vart!
I think I was right. I've just been let into Orwell. Nice, good instincts. Episode 1, Thesis. So, what exactly is going on here? So you would accept disqualification just like that. You're either downright stupid or you are very loyal towards us. You might be exactly whom I need. Marvellous! Okay, good. I outwitted the test. Perfect. So I'm guessing no matter what you answer, the game says, no, sorry, that's actually not good enough, diddly diddly dee. And then you have to say, that's my honest answer, I'm willing to tell the truth, to represent the fact that you are, willing to be truthful and trustworthy, something like that. So, Ampleford, tell me exactly what's going on here. My name is Ampleford. I'm part of a special division within the government, the Office. We get called in for delicate matters. A man called Oleg Bakay disappeared a couple of days ago. The last we heard of him was the call I just played to you. I've added the transcript of that dialogue to your reader tool. You can read it again or listen to the recording. When you're done, open the unknown person profile on the left. So Oleg Bakay is missing, and based on the phone call we just heard, it is extremely likely that Rabban Vart somehow killed them. Fine. Unknown person. Time to start actually building a case and just show you the basics of how this all fits together. Because as I understand it, yeah, this first episode is going to be fairly similar to the stuff that was in the first Orwell game, and then lots of exciting new sexy stuff will be added in over time. So let's say I actually want to actually make a profile for Oleg Bakay over here. I need to actually find his name, there it is down there, and then pull it over to his profile. And now it has been updated with his name. Marvellous. And we simply go over the evidence now that we actually know who he is and find more stuff that might be relevant. So truth is dead, as you soon will be. So either dead or at least, well, threatened with death, don't know if actually dead or not. In it goes, lovely, we have new information about him. And as a result of uploading that, new documents show up. So if you find the right bit of information, it unlocks more documents. Those you can use to kind of create new files or kind of put new information into existing files. That unlocks more documents, and it all goes around in circles as you start building a case and trying to figure out what's going on. So over in my bookmarks, something else just showed up. The National Beholder and National Paper has indeed actually managed to find something that's connected to the information I've just actually uploaded. Because yeah, you've kind of got like a, I don't know, a search engine plugged into your system. So when you're uploading information, when it's actually uploaded to the profile, more stuff shows up. So we've got ourselves a newspaper here, and that gives us some more information. Lovely. The National Beholder is the most respectable news site in the nation. Fine, it's a government mouthpiece. Got it. You could just say what it actually is. The recording of the call you just heard ended up in their newsroom. Why? That's a piece of the puzzle we're missing right now. Ah. Who sent it? Interesting, fine. However, the article's a good starting point. Let's pull some basic information out of there. So we've got ourselves a picture, upload that, and we'll have a picture, and we also know what his job is going to be. Lovely. So he is in fact an army officer for the Pargesian army. I can't remember who the Pargesians are, it's been a while since I played the original Orwell, but this is definitely actually the same nation as the first Orwell set in, because Rosen Technologies was actually a big thing back in the original Orwell, but that might just be a bit of fan service that's shown up, but I imagine it might actually be doing something else as well. So, shove that in there, and we've got ourselves an occupation, and thanks to that we found more documents and so on and so forth. And aha, Parges' army, our neighbouring country. We're very concerned about his fate. Yes, indeed, because there was... hang on. There had been a war. I believe there had been a war and there was a ceasefire in the first game. So potentially, yeah, if something goes wrong with important military figures, it might cause some more hostility. Anything else we need to get out of here? And aha! You see, I could have moved straight on to the next document, but read thoroughly, check for data chunks, and read the rest of it too, because some of it might actually be relevant. And here we flipping go. So, Rabban Vart, who is in fact known as the editor-in-chief and founder of the highly controversial blog, The People's Voice. Okay, so potentially that would suggest... anything else we know about Rabban Vart as a result of that? No, and it was leaked by an anonymous source. Nothing major. A direct threat to the Cassat administration of Parges and their alliance with the nation, which the blog openly and aggressively opposes. Okay, someone just give me a quick catch-up on what the relationship between the various nations involved is, because I can't remember at this point. Still, let's just quickly get this bit of information over here as well. What's that actually just given me there? And Rabban Vart, yes indeed, we should probably have a new profile for that guy. And as Vart isn't a target person, Orwell will not search for related documents. I feel like he should actually be a target, but alright, fine. You know what, we'll get back to him in a second, sure. And now we do indeed have a relationship chart starting to show up there between Rabban and Oleg. Marvellous. So back here, and now we can access his actual army file. Lovely. Which I feel like we shouldn't be able to, because this is another nation's army site, but maybe it's actually just a website. This looks like just a public website, so I'm sure that's okay. So, we know about the fact he's a captain, and we know his call sign, and where he served, etc. Marvellous. And by now you may have noticed for every data chunk you upload, 10 minutes of time pass due to Orwell's extensive search algorithms. Ooh, back in the first game, time was the only thing that actually passed in the very kind of final episode when things got super tense because there was a strict time limit and there were problems, etc, etc, etc. Now it looks like that's actually going to be a thing throughout the game. That's a cool little mechanic. So the events around us will unfold. Whether or not we're making progress on the case, keep this in mind. So, I've got to only upload stuff that's actually relevant, because otherwise I'm wasting time that I should actually be using on more important things. So the call sign is useful because someone might be, saying on a blog, oh, we've got to take out Janus, so, we should probably, have that uploaded. That's a useful thing to have. He still goes by the call sign. I'm granting you access to our database, which you should have a look at. You'll understand it better after you see the files. And yeah, his affiliation, where he actually served, that's probably going to be useful. I feel like that's actually worth putting along there. So once again, time is just ticking along. What do we know here? Volunteered, basic combat training, assigned for protection of Prava from ongoing threat through anti-government group Forces of True Pages during Prava's civil war. Okay, very useful, because if someone's threatening him, then it might be someone with a connection to the Forces of True Pages, so absolutely. A bloody mess, that civil war. Pages has suffered a great deal from it, so did the nation. Wait, yes, hang on, this is all starting to come back. Yeah, they were involved in a civil war, the nation kind of got involved a bit, and then pulled out after a while too. Fine, Medal of Honor for saving civilians. Let's just kind of save that, just as a note that he's actually a good egg. Alright, this guy seems to basically be a good egg. Oh, should that be read in a really sarcastic voice? I feel like it might be. Yeah, I feel like she was just being a bit sarky there. Gotcha. Right. Back over here, search database, let's see what we can find out over inside the government's own network. Alright, please insert the call sign. Marvellous, this is why we needed the call sign. And this thing is new, an Orwell build designed to meet the specific needs of the office. We can utilise data stored in the profiler on the left to circumvent certain restrictions that would otherwise bar us from making progress. Make good use of this ability within our database, the data stored in Bouquet's profile so far, to solve my little mystery. Fine. So we need to actually have an agent call sign. Fortunately, we know about that. Hang on, need to find that. There we go. Alias, shove that in there, do a quick search, and we make a bit of progress. Marvellous, it's all just a nice tutorial, but there's our guy, presumably, before he actually grew the beard. I'll leave you to your well-deserved information for a moment to truly understand why this case is so precarious. Okay, so we got this guy right here. I'm actually going to upload this, because I think that's a nicer picture of him. There we go, he's just been updated. Marvellous. Some basic information here, so his date of birth. Right, let's actually just save that. That could well be useful down the line, together with his nationality. Yep, useful again, nice to know about his allegiances. Address has been redacted, and we've got ourselves, aha, a phone. Very, very useful indeed. And confidential informant as officer of the Pargesian army. Ooh, informant to the office. Right. So this guy is a senior military hero in a neighbouring nation, but has also been feeding information to us. That's pretty bloody important to know, yes, fine, and this is why you're interested in this, got it. Bouquet is our informant, placed inside the Pargesian army for years, now vanished into thin air. You surely grasp the danger this poses should it ever come out. Yes, I do indeed see why, and us and the current Pargesian administration are friends. If it came out that the nation had planted spies inside the military, that could be embarrassing for everyone involved. Okay, I see the setup here. Marvellous. So now we need to investigate the person who called him last, Rabban Varts. The writer of some controversial blog. Fine. I'll turn Varts into a target person now. Time to pick up from there. Gotcha. But first, let's not actually get too confused here, because there's important things here. Tends to use names of people close to him as passwords. This has been strongly discouraged, so far ignored by the subject. That is a very important thing to know, because sooner or later we'll have to hack into his email or something. Marvellous. And also his phone number, which will hopefully allow us to actually access his phone, his text messages and whatever down the line. Better store that now, because that's totally going to be useful. Yes, indeed. Bouquet is using our registered phone devices to communicate with us. Seems to be online right now. You can access it using the Insider tool, which I'll unlock for you. Okay. So, either we could start investigating the other guy, Varane, immediately, or we figure out what this guy's phone is doing, which strikes me as useful. So, his phone's active, and it's on the desktop. So, of course, Bouquet has locked his phone with our own encryption tool. I'm afraid not even Orwell can break that. Okay, you'll have to do this the old-fashioned way by finding and applying Bouquet's key, see if you can find a hint to discover his password. Now that, I know already. It's going to be someone close to him, but so far we don't know who's close to him. Yeah, has a habit of using names of people close to him as passwords, but do we know... Wait, hang on. Is potentially Rabban Vart close to him? Is that why they were talking in the first place? Not Janus, because Janus isn't actually... Is Janus a... Janus is his code name? Possible. No. Fine. Invalid key. Well, let's not worry about that for now. Let's investigate Rabban Vart, because his information might lead us to, like, someone close to this guy. Like if that guy said something like, oh, I'm going to threaten your wife, Tina. And then we enter Tina, and then it works out just fine. So let's go over to Rabban for the moment and see what we're going to do here exactly. And now that we've got a new person, the old documents will probably unlock a whole bunch of new stuff. So back to that newspaper article, for example. Here we go. Rabban Vart, editor-in-chief and founder of highly controversial blog, The People's Voice. Upload that and we'll probably get access to The People's Voice and everything will be marvellous. So, one related document, that'll be the blog. So, a preposterous news in inverted commas site and has people rallying for protests in Parges for years. Okay, so I'm guessing it's anti-government and, yeah, anti-alliance. And potentially with good reason if our country has embedded large numbers of spies in your military. Yeah, it depends how many spies. This is already looking a bit on the dubious side, isn't it? Yes, indeed. So they're well acquainted, even if it isn't the most friendly relationship. Your task here is twofold, Agent. First and foremost, we are to locate Oleg Bouquet. Then, in order to understand whether Vart is behind Bouquet's disappearance, we need to find out what connects the two in the first place. Okay? So, one new document, and the new document will obviously be The People's Voice. Leave that for the time being. Something new is showing up around here first. Because the thing is, you can actually click around these websites. They're like proper websites. So if I click on Welcome here, it actually takes me to a different part of the same website. That is not relevant, however. Go back. Let's go into history. Anything that we can get out of this. Here we go. The Pargesian army as it exists today was formed by General Demjan Kasat as he freed Parges from the oppressive Fiat regime in 2004. In spite of the successful re-establishment of peace and freedom of Parges, evil forces still threaten the Pargesian people. The hate group Forces of True Parges, FTP, caused new conflicts in 2006 by evoking a civil war among the Pargesian citizens using hate speech and propaganda to pull the shaken people of Parges on their side. Okay, in spite of the Pargesian army successfully defeating the renegade group in 2008 with help of the National Army, their guerrilla war remained and peaked in the attack on our allies, the nation, in the form of the incident in 2008. The goal was to promote fear against Parges and Pargesian citizens and cause civil unrest between the two nations. The Blaine administration of the nation then returned to help Parges control the troubling situation in regards to the FTP in our country. Okay. Nothing I can pull out of there as far as I can tell. Okay. As for the newspaper, back to the home page. What else do we have here that might be of interest? Bomb obliterates the Freedom Memorial and kills 3. The famous Freedom Plaza from the first game. That statue has been blown up. You just can't stop bombing the bloody Freedom Plaza, can you? Dear oh bloody dear. Wait a minute, the thoughts are free. Okay, hang on, that's the events of the first game. Got it, so that's possibly happening in the background. Are these two things happening simultaneously? Because it's April 13th, 2017, and that's April 13th, 2017. And that, yeah, the thoughts are free. That's the events of the first game. Fine, so these two games are happening simultaneously. Got it, intriguing. So no new information there, let's go over to the People's Voice here. So, People's Voice. One thing before I let you roam freely, remember we are bound to the division of powers defined by the Ethical Codex, always designed in such a way that not one person alone can look at the documents and interpret the data to make a judgment. I am the one who decides what to do with said information and to take action, the advisor. Yes, but I decide what you get to see. So I can influence the decisions you're going to make. Yes, indeed. You're the one doing the searching for data, as well as deciding what to upload, as you'll often find misleading and false information. Try disabling data chunks that seem illegitimate or unimportant to you in the data chunk information window. Gotcha. You're now leaving charted territory as far as I'm concerned. I have to run the data you upload to make my calls. Doubt anything you read, especially when it comes to the people's voice. Don't give me wrong information to work with. I'm counting on you. And Orwell games tend to be clever. Like, I don't know who's going to turn out to be the utter bastard versus actually a decent person. Either side might be one or the other, or maybe everyone's going to be a bastard. Probably everyone's just going to be a bastard. So the nation burns again, 3 people are murdered because of Blaine's incompetence. Guess who will be blamed? Fine, so this is an alternative take on the events of the first game. Blood runs in the streets of the nation. Okay, fine, so this is quite fiery rhetoric, gotcha. I don't trust any news source that decides to use all caps repeatedly through an article. Yeah, that's putting me right off this blog immediately. However, we can get some useful bits of information out of this. This is Rabban Vart's line. The nation, its corrupt leadership, and all of their deluded flock who elected them carry the weight of the Freedom Plaza bombing upon their shoulders. Okay, so Rabban Vart blames the assault on Freedom Plaza on the government. Yes, that's useful to know. I mean, it's fairly basic. He's anti the government of the nation, but still, best we know about it. Thanks to the people's voice and our efforts to get the facts out to the people, the situation in the nation has recently been rather calm. So, he claims he's actively calmed the situation in the nation. I do not believe that's the case. Like, there's no evidence for that. I'm going to disable that, because I don't want to waste the time uploading it. Like, there's no evidence for that, and it's kind of ridiculous to suggest that his blog in one country affects how calm the streets are in another. As long as Blaine and Cassart remain in power, the best thing the nation can do is what it's actually doing right now, burning to the ground. Okay. So, he doesn't come across as a very nice man, to be honest, basically advocating the burning down of an entire nation. Even if the nation is kind of dickish, that's probably going a little bit far, yes. Now, what else do we have in your blog? A picture. Very convenient, let's know what you look like. So, Cassart, the president of Parges, needs to be held accountable for breaking his word! Yeah, lots of all caps. Lots of all caps. For all we know, Cassart is being controlled by the nation's shady administration. He probably is, you know. Unfortunately, a broken clock is right twice a day, and probably, actually, the nation has managed to infiltrate the people around Cassart and is actually manipulating him. That's entirely possible. Still, it's useful to know what his mad raving conspiracy theories, even if they're true, actually are, so let's get that uploaded. And he calls for people to take to the streets on a particular date, albeit it was yesterday. Fine, and I think actually we saw an article in the main newspaper which actually said that did happen. Hang on, negotiations, this was on the 13th. Yeah, I'm guessing that's a photo of the people taking to the streets on the 12th. Fine. So back over to that article we were just on there. Stand up and march on the streets of Trithlith tomorrow. And we've also got ourselves a Twitter, or officially Blabber account. That's useful. We need to look up what's being put on his Twitter. So we've also got on his website 3 editors, neither of them relevant yet. Supported through donations. As a non-profit organisation, we're funded solely through donations. People's Voice supported by Angels of the Nation Network, a volunteer team who provide development assistance in Parges. Okay, that's going to open up some potentially useful stuff for us, knowing who their backers are, because knowing who the actual backers are might lead us to someone who's pulling the strings. And we've also got ourselves a work email address here. That might also pull us towards access to his inbox. Definitely worth putting that aside. So the listener tool is active. Unfortunately, I can't delve into his old emails. I can just intercept new emails coming in. Gotcha. Now, just out of interest, Oleg's phone. If I was to put this guy's name into it, is that actually the right answer? Perhaps. No. Even though they knew each other, they weren't close enough to him to actually use him as the passcode. We know it's going to be someone close to him. Right, back to the reader. Let's go over to Twitter and have a look at the People's Voice Twitter in that case. And we've got our first yellow data chunk. Yellow data chunks represent conflicting information. Basically, you've got to choose one of these two things to actually be true, because they contradict something else. So Rabban Vart views the mainstream media as the enemy. They have been manipulating your thoughts since the dawn of humanity. Time to get rid of this enemy. Is that really relevant? Not sure that's relevant. We'll leave that for the time being. So, one thing is certain. Oleg Bakay will certainly not be missed. Or, what do you mean when you say Oleg Bakay would not be missed? Did you retire him? This is a misunderstanding. I'm not happy either that Oleg Bakay has gone missing. Okay, this soldier is not the one to blame here. Okay, why have we got two different bits of information here? So unhappy about his disappearance, or satisfied with his disappearance. So this is the point where I decide to choose which of these things I believe to be more likely and upload. And that will impact how she starts viewing the case and the decisions she makes as a result. And in the first game, that could start having dire consequences down the line. Like if you give a misleading impression of someone being more dangerous than they are, they can end up getting killed. So you've got to be careful. Rabban Vart. Now, the thing is, he said he won't be missed. Someone replied, basically, hey, did you murder him? To which the response was, oh no, totally we didn't mean that. So that's backpedaling. So the thing that was said first strikes me as the one more likely to be true. So we're going to upload that one. There we go. And of course he had to brag about Bakay's disappearance after the threat. Still, that doesn't answer whether Vart is responsible for what happened. And as a result, this data chunk disappears. And I found my way through to the nation's own website here off a new article in the newspaper. The Paja's peacekeeping mission. Let's just remind ourselves exactly what was going on there. Lovely staged photograph, marvellous. Terrorist incident of 2008 was a terrible consequence of the premature retreat of our troops from Pajes, a region torn by civil unrest for years, by the order of the previous government. To fix our predecessors' mistakes, the party, when elected in 2009, immediately made preparations to send our highly reliable soldiers back to safeguard the region for the good of the inhabitants of both countries alike. After the Paja's peacekeeping mission had been signed in 2011, our troops were sent off to the neighbouring country to perform tasks including aid packages, building schools, and hugging kittens. Marvellous. And due to recent stabilisation in Pajes, we've been able to reduce the number of troops. Fine, so there's been a slow withdrawal over time. Gotcha. And what I've just read on Twitter has led to something new showing up in the admin panel of the People's Voice discussion. What have you done, Rabban? Okay, what do we have here? This is the back end, but we get to spy on it. It sounds like they're accusing us of having kidnapped or killed this man. What have you done to Oleg Bakay, Rabban? Tell us the truth. And what does that lead to? That just leads back to the article that we've already seen. Let's not jump to conclusions. I'm sure that Rabban can offer an explanation. Yeah, these are the people we saw on the website previously. I'm starting to doubt whether the People's Voice represents what I stand for. We sell ourselves as a blog for the Pargesian people, defending their rights and protecting their freedom. As part of that, it's our duty to criticise the Pargesian government. The military is a prime target. However, I never signed up to be labelled as a criminal. We don't threaten people. We don't kidnap people. We certainly do not kill people. Now, what are you going to say here? Because we've got... Okay, we've got a conflict somewhere, so I need to find the conflict before I can make a decision on this. What's your take on this, Rabban? Calm down, Shannon. Since when do you believe what the National Beholder prints? They're only trying to frame us. I have nothing to do with Bakay's disappearance. Did I call him? Sure. Did I get a little aggressive? I did. You see, Bakay and I, we have history. Before we left Pajes, Bakay had his mind set on joining the Pargesian army. He asked me to take care of his 14-year-old daughter. Okay, that's going to be the code name. I need to find out her name. Let's get this uploaded. This is important. So, denies being involved in the disappearance, but admits to the call. Wait, do I even need that? I mean, that's not actually... Well, I suppose it's a confession, but then we don't need a confession because we know he did it. But then... You know what? The time's probably pretty generous in the first day. I'll upload that just in case, just so we've got proof. But this is the crucial one. right here. So, formerly lived in Prava Parges and took care of Oleg Bakay's daughter. Now we need to find out about her because that's the way to access his phone. So I need you to investigate and upload anything you think is relevant and accurate about the background of these two. Discard anything else. From what you gather, I'll put together a theory about what happened and what we're going to do about it. Fine. At the very least, we need a solid motive for Raban Vart making this threat to Oleg Bakay and an explanation as to how Vart could contact him on his protected phone. If you need to keep track of your objectives, click on the Orwell eye. Marvellous. So according to Raban, he did indeed take care of Oleg's daughter. Soon after, instead of returning to his daughter, I learned he had left for the nation. He said he wanted to find work there. Then all of a sudden he returns and ranks up to an officer in the army. I'm fairly certain he works for the nation's government in some way, and you're right, he's 100% right. So, one bit of information is Oleg Bakay left Parges for the nation to find work. Now, that does match up with what we know about Oleg Bakay. Fine, but don't upload that because there's another bit of contradicting information somewhere. So the two other editors, Shannon and Daniel, are basically saying, hey Raban, just back down, watch what you say. However, the third editor at the top, Ilya, his position seems to be, I'm sure Raban can offer an explanation. So he's possibly the one who's more hardcore in line with this. Shannon and Daniel are starting to get cold feet. And Raban replies, you guys are disappointing me. I thought you had it in you. Don't let them intimidate you like that. These are just empty threats. We have to stand our ground now more than ever. Okay, this guy even apparently speaks in all caps during private communication. I don't like him very much. Okay, let's learn what we can about these users here. Aha. Okay, later, if these guys become relevant, I can actually get pictures and contact details and roles out of the users page on their website. Remember that, that's important. And I'm interested in this Shannon here, because she's the one who seems to be most getting cold feet and trying to tell Raban to calm down. So she, yeah, was in Parges, moved to the nation quite a long time ago. However, after spending a bit of time at the National Beholder, decided to jump ship over to the People's Voice, but from the sounds of it, is still resident in the nation, not in Parges. Okay, interesting. And that's all we've got here. No drafts, nothing particularly interesting in the log. Gotcha. Over to the City of Prava website that's just shown up. So, this is where the trouble's centred in Parges. Thread, what are you planning on doing against the FTP? So one person says, my family and I are thinking of leaving Prava. We've been living in this beautiful town for generations, don't want to leave, but since the FTP started the civil war, we don't feel safe here. Wait, hang on. This isn't recent. This is from 2006. Okay, this is a long, long time ago. Gotcha. Aha. Raban Vart back in 2006, when the actual civil war was just kicking off. I sincerely understand your concerns, Mrs. Toscola. As the school's principal, I will therefore consider our options on how to protect the schools and Prava Secondary in particular, because the woman above was saying, how can I protect my children who are at this school? Fine. So now we know, back in the day, he was in fact, yeah, a principal of a school in Parges. Now, if something very bad happened to that school when he was leading it, that might explain how he got radicalised, yes. And speak of the devil, here's Oleg Bakay, also having a chat in 2006. Leave Parges, that's how you abandon not only your hometown, but your home country. And go where? The nation? This pitiful stretch of land? Never! Believe me, you'd be better off dying as a loyal citizen of Parges than as an inferior renegade. In fact, I've devised my own way of how to protect Prava and show that I'm a true Pargesian patriot. I'm going to volunteer for the Pargesian army and fight to free this country from the plague known as the FTP. Okay, interesting. So, the contradictory information we have right now is back in 2006 on a message board, Oleg Bakay said, I hate the nation and I don't want to go there. Alternatively, we have an update in 2017 that, yeah, he left for the nation, said he wants to find work there. Now, we know he was recruited at some point, so I'm going to take this word as more reliable than the other one, because one, it comes later, it's from 2017, like the other bit of information was from 2006, so it's entirely possible that he changed his mind, or he went there for different reasons. And the fact that he hates it doesn't mean he doesn't go there. He might have gone there specifically to spy on them. It's possible he's a double agent, and in fact he's pretending to be our spy, but he's actually their spy on us. So I'm going to say, as this is more factual, this is the more likely bit of information to be true. So over to Oleg's profile. What do we have here exactly? Good, that might account for his loyalty towards us. Well, actually, that wasn't really what I was trying to communicate to you, but okay. And here we go. Rabban Vart, I do think the FTP is fighting for the right causes, maybe with the wrong method. So he was on the side of the guys who lost the civil war in Parges. Fine. After all, I don't believe Kassat will be doing us any good, considering how he rose to power. And mind you, Kassat's ties to the nation are more than fishy. Yeah, okay. That's a useful bit of information there. So over to the people, over to Rabban, and upload that to him. And here we go. As for my daughter, Radka. You've been one of her biggest role models for years now. You know her well. She loves your classes. May I boldly ask you to take care of her while I'm gone? Absolutely. And he denies being a terrorist sympathiser. I'm certainly not on their side. All I'm saying is you should try thinking a bit more critically towards the government. And that's all we got here. And yes, this is pretty bloody crucial. The daughter. Because that is going to be how we access his phone. Meanwhile, back on Twitter, a fair few people are getting angry at Rabban, or rather at the People's Voice Twitter account in general, because of how he's threatening him. I don't consider that relevant, however. The fact that some people are being angry on Twitter, no, that's not relevant at all. So I'm just going to disable that to save myself the time. Instead, what else do we have here before we enter the daughter's name into the phone? Ah, the school website where we know he worked. Lovely. And as we know he was principal in 2010, he comes across as a good guy. Many teenagers are needed at home by their families to look after younger siblings or make up for missing parents who fight in the ongoing war. In order to help with the burdens of bringing up several children while guaranteeing them a minimum living standard, I've started an afternoon childcare service for younger siblings. That's a very good community-minded thing to do. So, back in these days, he comes across as, well, he was a good principal, if nothing else. And here we go. He also upgraded the library to become a shelter in the basement of the school. So he basically put a bomb shelter in a school, which, as there's a war going on, again, probably a good idea and worth knowing about. Because, yeah, if something went horribly wrong in that school and it was the government's fault, which I feel like is where this is going, that's when he went off the rails. And the school administration has requested protection by the Pargesian army because the FTP, with whom this guy had a lot of sympathy, were getting closer. I'm gonna guess, yeah. If I had to guess what's gonna happen, or rather what did happen, the army basically ran at the first sign of trouble and left the school to be utterly destroyed. And as a result, yeah, this guy is now very, very anti the government, who went on to win that civil war with the help of the nation. Although, you'd think he'd be more annoyed at, well, possibly he's annoyed at the FTP as well. Maybe he just hates everyone. Maybe he's just a very, very angry man, and that's why he speaks in all caps all the time these days. So, subjects as a teacher, English and philosophy. Not relevant, going to disable that, fine. And yes, he was principal since 2001, so all of that did happen under his watch. A few other teachers as well, none of that seems to be relevant. Updated picture, oh go on then, I'll put up a better quality picture of him. And please find our school records of attendance via the following link. You see, this is why you want to dig through all of the different kind of links off other pages of sites you've already been to. That is going to be relevant. That is going to be very, very relevant later, because we're going to need to find someone who was at this school back in 2001 or something who went on to become a terrorist later. Something like that. But before we get over to his phone, over on the listener, we got something else going on here. So, 2 emails coming in to Rabban Vart. So, here we go. From an unknown person to Rabban, revised article. Ilya, okay. We know who Ilya is. That's one of the senior editors on his website. I finished revising the article you sent me, scheduled it for 3 PM like you asked. Don't know if I'll be available for another one. I'm going to be a bit occupied tonight. Maybe I can spare some time remotely if I get the chance. One more thing, this bouquet thing is getting ugly. Lots of TNB, that's a newspaper believers, are flooding us with threats on Blabber. Did you read any of that? Creeping me out. You know I'd go to any length with you, just like when we moved to the nation, you're my brother. Okay, fine. Nothing can change that. It's even fine if you're not telling me the whole truth. What about Karen? They even insult her. She doesn't deserve to be treated that way. Don't you think it's about time you gave out a statement? You can easily debunk these lies. Okay, just like when we moved to the nation. So Ilya and Raban, like I thought, they're the ones who are closer together. And they moved to the nation together. And potentially, Ilya Vance. Literally his, sorry, I thought that was like, you're my brother, as in like, we're so close friends. No, literally brothers. Got it. Very, very useful. And Ilya has just become a person of interest. Marvellous. Before we go back to Ilya, however, our support of your blog from Angels of the Nation. Dear Mr. Vart, we regret to inform you we've temporarily suspended any recurring financial support to your endeavour. Our team has become aware of you using our donations to support a cause or causes directly or indirectly violating our terms of use. Angels of the Nation is an independent, non-profit organisation with the intention to support beneficial causes in or directed at Pardias. We strictly enforce a zero-tolerance policy on endorsement or incitement of aggressive acts or violent behaviour of any kind. Okay. Which we've been made aware your blog's engaged in recently. And I think that's my fault, because I uploaded the information of the Angels of Pardias, or Angels of the Nation, over to the profile, and my handler immediately tipped these guys off. So that's kind of my fault, but I didn't know she was about to be a dick about it. Now, I would go into Ilya immediately, except we know time is ticking by. Time is ticking by, so it's more important I get on with this, yeah. Radka Bouquet, hang on, apparently I can't click on it there. Can I click on his daughter's information around here? Here we are, Radka. Drop that in there. And bingo. Nice. Now that we have access to his encrypted phone, that will be very, very useful indeed. Alright, let's start off with some photos here. Photos from his army days. Pile of books. Literally 2 photos. Not that relevant, or at least not yet. Right, over to his messages. Warning, I fear that my cover might have been blown. I suspect Raban Vart to be behind it. If this is true, this could seriously hurt us. I'm now proceeding according to the protocol for a situation like this, moving to a secret location in order to conceal my whereabouts. Okay, fine. So he tried to warn the office about him supposedly having been revealed by Raban Vart, but again, I am increasingly suspicious this guy is in fact feeding us false information. Okay, let's just play this. If he was in fact on the side of the government of Pardias, why would he be feeding the nation information that Raban Vart is causing trouble? Well, potentially to cover his own movements. If he was to say to us, oh no, that Raban Vart, that well-known loudmouth terrorist sympathiser, has managed to blow my cover, I have to run to this secret location, that provides him with cover to move around freely without us asking questions. I do not trust this guy one little bit, but this is still very important information, so we need to upload that. So how could Vart have done that? How did he know? Well, Vart suspected it already. Vart definitely was suspicious of the fact he moved to the nation, then came back and was promoted in the military almost immediately. He was very suspicious already. And in addition, Oleg moved to a secret location, and fortunately there is a little map up on his phone that might be useful for figuring out that. Except according to Ampleford, there was no plan which included going into hiding anywhere. So we need to find a location, and I suspect we can indeed do that. Call history, to Melissa O'Brien, who is not yet a person of interest. And more importantly, Raban Vart's phone number. Now that's a big flipping deal right there. Right, upload that. Hopefully we can crack into his phone in time as well, because that's going to be a very, very big deal. Yeah, marvellous. With this number we can track Raban Vart's calls to and from his mobile phone with the listener tool. Assuming we can get inside... Oh, yes, I think we'll tune into this, thank you.
Karen, my love.
Hey.
Having a good day?
Yeah. So far so good. I called to tell you I'll be home late today. I'm sorry.
Again? They don't pay you enough for all the time you give them.
It's not about payment, and you know that. These people rely on me. They need me.
Yeah? Well, I need my wife at home with me some of the time. Am I asking for too much?
Raban, not so long ago you were among them. You have been in their position.
Yes, I know that. So was Ilya, so were the others. Yet none of us were national soldiers responsible for invading and ravaging countries. If it weren't for them driving refugees out in the first place, why, we wouldn't need these camps.
This again? We talked about this multiple times.
I'm well aware that this extra time you spend there is for her, isn't it?
Raban, she is... I'm worried, that's all. She's more reclusive now than ever. Something isn't right.
One more reason to avoid her.
You want me to cherry-pick who deserves my assistance and who doesn't? All people get the same treatment, the same attention. That's my mandate. I thought you loved that about me.
I do. You're right. Of course you are. You always are. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So, are you good with me getting home late tonight then?
I am.
Thank you.
I will be waiting for you.
No, don't wait. It might get late.
Well, I can hardly go anywhere else.
You shouldn't say things like that. Anyway, I'll talk to you later.
See you.
Okay. So we've intercepted a phone call, and unknown person, Karen, his wife, except... Why did the message from Ilya say, even if you're not telling me the truth about Karen? What's going on here exactly? Still, we now know about his wife, married to Karen Vart. Marvellous, so let's get that in, because that's important. And Raban Vart also got pretty agitated about how the army of the nation invaded and ravaged Parges. Of course, according to the nation, they interceded on humanitarian grounds and hugged kittens and handed out bottles of water to thirsty people. But it is still useful to know his position on this. That's a useful part of his political philosophy. Now the question is, who's the she they were talking about? I'm worried she's more reclusive now than ever. Something isn't right. One more reason to avoid her. I'm guessing this woman works in some form of refugee camp or similar. Fine. I don't see anything else to pull out of this, not for now at least. Now, back to Olag's phone, having got that important bit of information. Still nothing we can do with this Melissa O'Brien, but she'll probably become relevant down the line. We've already seen the messages. We've already seen the gallery. Contacts. Nothing jumps out. Benjamin Collins. Wasn't that your handler in the first game? I think that was your handler in the first game, if I recall correctly. Marvellous. Okay. Nothing we can do there yet, but that guy in the background is going to become relevant down the line. Now, here we go. An address. Now that is going to be where he's hiding. His current location, because, this is actually a tracking app. We know exactly where he is. Well, that's just flipping perfect. Prava, Oleg Bakay is in his former hometown, Peculiar. Why is he hiding out there? Or rather, from whom? Raban Vart? Well, presumably, yes. Excellent work. We'll retrieve Oleg Bakay once we have a clear picture as to why he's gone missing in the first place and what that call meant. Okay, so that's definitely a very relevant bit of information there. Probably time to turn our attention to his brother, Ilya, in that case. And by the way, I know like in the background there's some explosions going on. That's just the events of the first game that seem to be happening at the same time. And the connection to Ilya has flagged, something very old there. Back in 2011, an entry on the People's Voice from Raban Vart. We said goodbye to our dear home. See you on the other side. So it's been about a week since I started the journey from my hometown Prava to the borders of the nation. Together with my brother Ilya, who's the only family that I have left, I decided to seek a new life elsewhere. We have lost everything, our workplaces, our homes, many of our friends. I even lost my ability to walk. We don't know that's true, but just in case it is, it's very, very important indeed. So let's just make a note of that, because, yeah, that could become relevant later. And that generally surprises me. How did that happen, she says. I suspect that happened due to some form of terrible incident at the school where he was trying to keep the children safe. I think he was probably radicalised by some form of terrible inaction or failure by the nation's army. And will life be better in the nation? We don't know, especially since the most important national news outlet recently published articles suggesting Pargesian refugees are likely terrorists. Yes, dear oh dear. That is probably pushed him towards radicalisation there. Bit of an unfortunate self-fulfilling prophecy, potentially. So that was on January 27th. However, there are other notes too. On February 18th, so 3 odd weeks later, they made it to the nation. Unfortunately, they ended up in a refugee camp, the Outer Bonton reception camp, as a temporary solution. So it's overcrowded, there's, a lack of food and bathrooms, fights over both are common, but meanwhile, the nation was saying, oh yes, everyone is welcome and absolutely swimming in food and water. And we can confirm that's true, assuming he's telling the truth, but we've no reason to assume he was lying back in 2010 about this. Sorry, 2011 actually, sorry, my mistake. Though in all fairness, he said the newspapers were lying. They aren't really. They do specifically say, the reception facilities are becoming overwhelmed because of the large number of people crossing over. So that's why there's a bit of a stretch on resources. So I feel like he's exaggerating when he says the main newspapers are lying about this. Still, this is very, very important background information. He ended up in a refugee camp, and indeed, the only ray of hope is social worker Karen. This is where he met his wife. Oh, we've got a call to his brother. Very important.
MacLeod speaking.
Brother?
Oh, hey, Raban. I didn't expect you to call. I'm getting ready for work. I have no idea what's going on with the donations. I swear they were working, and I haven't changed anything in the back end.
Forget the donations. I need your abilities as my co-writer. You must write me an article.
Right now, is it important?
It is.
What do you want me to write about?
There has been a second assault in Bonton, at Stelligan University.
Another one? Oh, wow. They really have got a situation here, don't they?
We need to cover it. Draw attention to how the government is failing its people.
I'm not quite sure if I'll be able to pull it off at work. I feel like they're watching me already.
Do you stand with me, brother? Or has the nation's corruption and wealth finally swayed your sympathies?
Raban, I stand with you. I've told you this.
Then I have faith in you, brother.
Are you preparing a statement about these threats? This has to stop. Are you gonna say something?
Yes.
Ah, great. Finally.
And it is going to be the most remarkable statement I have ever made. The destruction of the cooperation between Cassett and Blaine.
Destruction? How?
Patience, brother. It won't be long now. Take care of the article.
Okay, I will do my best to get it done for you. Give me about an hour for the draft. I'll put it in the back end.
Good. I'll be waiting. Until later.
Yeah, until then.
Okay, so at approximately 4 PM, we should anticipate a draft showing up there. Marvellous. Now, what can we pull out of this? His plan is to destroy the cooperation between the leaders of the nation and Pargers, which I assume to be, again, connected to the fact that he feels that the nation, well, because he generally feels like the nation's intervention in Pargers was unjustified, but I suspect there's something related to his school we need to get to the bottom of yet. Fine, that is relevant, that's his goal. And marking that both of them are, related as brothers, but also as co-writers. Arguably not the most important thing in the world, but let's get it down there just in case, because we need to start building a bit of information about Ilya. So that's everything out of that phone call, fine. And just in case she becomes useful down the line, yeah, probably worth knowing that Karen indeed was a social worker who actually worked at the refugee camp, and that is how they met. So, let's get that over to... Okay, I kind of feel like that is actually pertinent to her, not to him, but fine, I guess we'll actually put it against him too. So give it 30 minutes, something ought to flash up about here. And when it does, we need to be on it immediately, because it might be time sensitive. People's voice, what's going on here? Crime statistics continue to get faked, and that is... what's her name? Christina something from the first game, who has presumably been, photoshopped. Yeah, Delacroix is being photoshopped a little bit there. It's also rather interesting to note that, yeah, in these articles from 2017, he's, full of bluster and insults and all caps. But if you look at his writing back from 2010 and 2011, he was much calmer. So something, has changed him very dramatically in the intervening years. We need to figure out what that is, and I suspect something to do with the school. Now, we've got 2 new bits of information out of what we've just learnt here, including Central Medical Database. Fine, let's just spy on the medical stuff here. Did we already know his birth date? No, we knew the other guy's birth date. And currently residing in the... No, surely not. Hang on. Oh, this is from 2011. Fine. This is a record from The Nation back when he was at the camp. That is not currently his address, however. We've no particular reason to assume that's true. We've got date of birth. Fine. Get that locked down. That may well be important down the line. However, that is not still his address. That was his address years ago. So disable that. That's not important. And... hello, we've got... most severe symptoms described by the patient are pain and stinging in the lower back area, as well as tingling and occasional complete loss of sensation in the legs. The patient reacts extremely aggressively upon questioning about his condition and is very reticent regarding the exact description of the event that led to his injury. The patient is accompanied by his brother, Mr. Ilyavart, who offered a more detailed description, stating that Raban had been buried by concrete blocks for at least 24 hours following the bombing of a school building in his hometown, Prava. Yeah. Kind of figured that would be roughly what happened, yes. So, someone bombed his school. And I'm increasingly suspicious it was a case of accidental friendly fire by the Nation, who then went on to cover it up, not the FTP. And that's where it all went wrong for him. I think that's going to be what's going on here. So no reaction to any sensation of touch, heat or cold to his legs, and also examination of the lungs shows difficulty of breathing, frequent coughing, so he suffered badly from what happened in that school. Fortunately, the lung thing is just an infection, so hopefully he'll be able to actually recover from that, but the legs thing, not so much. Since the patient's condition results in the incapability of him moving independently, a request to the Bonton Reception Camp Administration for the financing of a manual wheelchair. So he is using a wheelchair. Fine. Lovely. Well, not lovely. Probably very unfortunate for him, but good to know. Now, we don't know if that's actually relevant, however, so let's just go into his, National Immigration Database first as well, because we want to make sure, Social Security number. Now, that's way more important, because we might be time critical right now. In fact, all of this is way more critical. Yeah, definitely better we know this than the wheelchair thing. So, Social Security number. Useful. That will lead to other bits and pieces. And, yep, here we go. UIDs of personal devices. A notebook. Marvellous. That was registered when he moved into the country and crossed the border. So that will be very, very useful indeed. And date of registration. Immigrated to the nation February 6, 2011. Let's just quickly check. Nothing showing up here. And, yes. Okay. Let's just come back to that later. Focus on the crucial stuff immediately. So that's flagged to us a new article from 2012 by Ilyavart. My brother is a hero. This article will prove it to you. This might tell us the full story. Prava Secondary, the school that Raban was teaching at and had in fact helped to build with his own 2 hands, was bombed to the ground. A place of learning, a place of safety, a place that Raban had always offered the Pargigian children the opportunity of a good education, was nothing more than a smouldering rubble. During the bombings, most of the children from Raban's 6th grade class had been trapped in the school garden shed, and they had not been able to make it to the safety of the library, which they had been using as a bomb shelter. We knew about that, of course. Against what everyone told him to do, Raban ran out to the shed and saved these children from certain death in this hellish attack. He did not rest until every one of them was safe in the library. Without his brave escort, they would not have made it back to the shelter, where they would be able to wait in safety until the bombing was finally over. The shed was destroyed only minutes later, but Raban himself, he had not made it back to safety before the bombs dropped. He was buried under rubble for almost a day, clinging to his bare life until we finally discovered him. He paid a high price, his ability to walk. But we don't know who dropped the bombs. But then again, if this war was between the government of Parges, backed up by the government of the nation, versus a small terrorist splinter group, the FTP, if one side's going to be dropping bombs, i.e. dropping bombs from above, i.e. has planes, it's going to be the government side. I think that school was accidentally hit. Okay, that's important, and it's important that we note that this is not, an awful person. He did something very noble there, and that's led into something else. Fine, marvellous. But let's focus on the draft that just showed up. This is the important thing, because stuff is starting to come in very quickly, and now every time I upload something, more stuff's coming in faster. Over to the Insider. What else do we have? Yeah, his desktop. Okay, the People's Voice. He's got his own blog as the background. Dear oh flipping dear. Right. Freedom Plaza to do. That'll be he wants to Photoshop it in some capacity. Okay, or he already has. From an unknown sender, a token of my appreciation for your blog. Raban, I found something you might be interested in. There's a link. I've done some digging through the document. There was even a phone number of a device they issued this guy, Oleg Bakay. No need to thank me. Okay, this is important. This is very important, because this is how he got Oleg Bakay's phone number and how he made the call at the beginning. And it came from David Johns, who just became very, very interesting to us. Now, do we already know that phone number? Need to check that. No, we've got a mobile phone UID, which is presumably the special phone he was given by the agency, but we need the actual phone number of Oleg Bakay, so we can track that phone too. And the number for Bakay's protected office phone is out there. This cannot be happening. This is how Raban Vart reached him. Right. So this guy just became very, very important. David Johns, a connection to Raban. So load up Raban, get David Johns in there. He just became really cocking important. And a fan, cute. Yeah, a fan, but an important fan, alright? And the link was about Operation Flying Dog. A Pargesian soldier, Oleg Bakay, was arrested by soldiers of the nation after an incident during the Civil War, released again later, presumably with a pardon, and placed as a spy within the Pargesian army. So, the equivalent of WikiLeaks, I suppose, basically exposed him, and that's how this all, how it all started. So upload that, that's very relevant. And presumably you've got a comment to make about that. Damn it, I knew it must have been revealed. This changes everything. If Bakay's secret is out there, that's how Vart came across the info, but this doesn't appear to be enough of a motive. Well, it's a bit of a motive. The school thing, I feel like we've already got a pretty good motive for him being annoyed in general. If you find any hints of possible disloyalty of our agent towards us, you need to let me know immediately, yes. At this point, we're not 100% sure at Bakay, and in fact, I already wasn't. So, what else can we learn about Perco links, by the way? Oh, well, this is intriguing. I'm allowed to upload documents to Perco links myself if I choose to. So if I go rogue during this game, if there's a particular document I think deserves to be made public, I can upload it to Perco links. Right. Remember that. That's important. Uh-oh, I think I might have just made a mistake there. I thought that was so important that there's now no draft article. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I just missed the draft. The draft was there and now it's oh dear. Right, this is why I needed to manage the time better. But that seemed important, damn it. That seemed really, really important. It's not in the drafts because it's actually been published. Good. So, once more, the innocent will be punished. Nothing too dramatic here, just the speculation that, the Pargesians will be blamed by the nation's media, and as a result, Pargesians resident in the nation will suffer as a result of the terrorist attacks. Fine, probably true all things considered. Let's nip back to Twitter here for a second. Anything important? Back on Twitter, I'm not responsible for the disappearance of Oleg Bouquet. Besides, this man is no angel. I've reason to believe he was involved in the horrid attack on my school in 2010. Now, if he's going to put that out there in public, he really has to believe it, or he's trying to sow false information. And also, conflicting data chunk. I know he was one of the people in charge during the Prava school attack, since knowing what would happen, he did not let his daughter attend that day. Okay, his daughter was absent on the day her school was attacked. But we know there's actually a conflict there, so let's not worry about that. But we do need to upload that to his profile, that's pretty important. And if he really believes it, that would be a strong motive. Yes, we do indeed have a good motive there, but there's more yet. Let me explore a bit further. And elsewhere on Twitter, the FTP should pay for this. It was them who were responsible for this horrid attack. And that guy clicks through to... yeah, Pargesian school hit by several missiles due to FTP siege. Yeah, secondary school in Western Parges was bombed by the rebel organisation Forces of True Parges. Now, do we believe that? According to an official statement on behalf of the Army of the Nation, the attack was initiated by the rebel organisation Forces of True Parges. Intel revealed that the group was harbouring key officials who were hiding in the basement, which serves as a makeshift bomb shelter for the Prava secondary students and their families in times of emergency. As reported by the National Army, the rebel groups had started the attack as National Army soldiers had surrounded the school, requesting the officials to surrender immediately. Okay. So, definitely this was a little bit on the messy side. The explosion, which was initiated by the FTP, caused the school's principal, Raban Vart, to be buried under concrete and rubble for at least 24 hours. What's the conflict there? Hello. An answer to that article. No, it was not the FTP. The National Beholder is nothing but a lying, manipulative, brainwashing machine. In reality, it was military bombardment that wounded me severely. Okay. You have my utmost admiration, sir. It takes incredible courage to risk your own life to save others. You're an exceptionally good person. Please not flood me with compliments. All I want is my home country to be safe again. Anything else here of interest? Now, the thing is, do we have any reason to believe either of these stories over the other? So he says it was a military bombardment that wounded me. But the article is a little bit on the confusing side, to be honest. Because according to the official story, the school was being used as a hiding place for certain key officials for the FTP, which would logically make sense because we know for a fact that the actual principal had certain sympathies for the FTP. He may not have been willing to be a publicly acknowledged supporter, but he definitely had some sympathies for them, which is fine. And then according to the official story put up by the Army of the Nation, the FTP were in the basement, the army surrounded the school and asked them to surrender, and then the FTP bombed the building that their own officials were in. Which doesn't really make much sense, to be honest. Like, why would the FTP blow up a building that their own guys are actually in? It makes a lot more sense that it would be the military that did it. So, based purely on the fact the story vaguely makes sense, I guess I'm gonna say I actually believe the other version. I believe it was actually, yeah, military bombing of his school, because if indeed he was harbouring FTP individuals in his bomb shelter, that's why it would be bombed. Like, even based on the national whatever, the newspaper's account, his version of events makes more sense. So I'm going to upload that, because I think that makes a lot more sense and would also explain his radicalisation. A military bombardment, the Pargesian army, this indicates that Bouquet might indeed be involved in the attack, yeah. So that would also explain, one, his radicalisation, and two, why he's suddenly so interested in Bouquet, because Bouquet he thinks was responsible, because Bouquet kept his daughter at home the same day as it happened. So it does feel like all those things stack up together, and the story makes a lot more sense. I've seen enough. I believe we've sufficiently proven Bouquet to be involved in the attack on Vart's school. I'm not convinced about that. I think you jump into an assumption there, but Vart knows about it. He's already stated he believes Piquet had something to do with it. He must be out for revenge. That, I believe, is true, but I think we've got sufficient evidence Piquet was actually genuinely involved. You've gathered all that we need. I will get an intervention team ready from the local base near Prava to go and look for Piquet. Oh. Okay, I might have done this in the wrong order because there's still stuff in his computer I haven't actually read yet, and that's pretty bloody important. They're on their way. Let me try and make sense of everything we've gathered. I need to decide how we should approach this. So, Rabin Var was the school principal back in Prava, Parges. He was also the teacher of Oleg Piquet's daughter, who went to fight in the Pargesian army. School was bombarded by military fire. Vart managed to save the students by leading them to the shelter he built. He lost his ability to walk. Based on the info we've collected, it's possible Piquet was involved in the attack somehow. It's also possible Vart learned about it and plotted revenge. Yeah, that's the story I believe to be true, based on what I've seen so far. The intervention team is in place. I'm switching over to command. I'll let you listen in via the listener tool. Yeah, alright, let's see how this goes.
Echo 1 reporting. Come in, Command.
Commander's reading you.
We have arrived at the designated location.
What is it like?
Sorry, Command, I don't quite follow.
The location? Tell me what you see.
Looks like ruins of a school that has been hit by a large explosive, possibly an airstrike, maybe artillery fire.
Can you traverse the ruins?
Affirmative, but the damage is catastrophic. Are you sure the target is around?
Absolutely. Move in and keep me posted at all times.
This could
Describe
be a trap.
to me everything
This could
you
totally
see.
be a trap.
Understood. Echo Squad, move in. Entering primary hallway now. The hallway has been severely damaged. You can see the sky right through multiple stories. Some parts are completely caved in. Proceed with caution, Echo Squad.
He's going to collapse the school while they're in there as revenge against the nation and the Pages forces he blames.
There are some adjacent rooms that seem rather intact. Echo 2, Echo 4, clear them. Rooms are clear. Lots of bags lying around. There were still some geometrical drawings on the chalkboard. The place was clearly left in a hurry. Moving into the next corridor. There's... Oh, shit!
What is it?
Part of the ceiling gave way. Nearly hit one of our operatives. Status, Echo Squad. Dust off.
Ugh. Can you proceed?
Affirmative.
Do it.
You're walking into a trap!
Status?
All clear. No traces of the target. Some doors are blocked by debris, but there's zero chance they have been opened recently.
Listen, I need you to find the target person. He is around.
There's a basement stairwell that we haven't checked yet. Moving there now. Watch your corners, Echo Squad.
He's left his phone there to lure us in. But why? Unless he's secretly on the other side.
Not much left here either. The projectile went right through half the building like a hot knife through butter. Hate to say it, but we may be out of luck. Wait, found something. There's a hatch leading further down. Looks used recently.
Finally, proceed.
Affirmative. This is the school's library, still intact. Someone put a lot of effort into turning this into some sort of autonomous bomb shelter. And they succeeded. Even the power is still on. From what I can tell, this thing even has working surveillance cams on the walls.
Huh. Peculiar. Maybe Piquet is able to use them. Proceed with caution.
Definitely wouldn't want to. Movement! Get down! Get down! Echo Squad, contain the target!
It's the target. It has to be.
Oleg Piquet, we know you're here. There is no way out of this shelter. Throw your weapons into the middle of the room and come out from your position with your hands on your head. Visual on target. Identity confirmed. It is Oleg Piquet. Your order.
Piquet has been proven to be a traitor to the office.
No, he hasn't.
He is a liability as long as he is alive. Terminate him.
What? No, 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 no!
Report in.
Target down. Oleg Piquet is dead.
Very well. Mission accomplished. Make sure the area is secure, then disengage.
Understood. Echo Squad, move out!
If I had painted Oleg Bakay differently, if I hadn't given the impression he was a traitor, he might not be dead right now. And now I'm going to go into that guy's laptop and find some evidence that proves Bakay was totally innocent in everything, aren't I? Because I hadn't finished going through the computer. Nothing else here but photos. Okay, new portrait was a rugby coach. Irrelevant. Check all these. There he is in the... Aha! That'll be the light... Wait, hang on. Hang the flip on. This photo... The photo on Oleg's phone had, like, piles of books. That was of the library basement. Ah, now we know what that is. Fine. And also Cam ID. So that is suggesting he had access to the security cameras down there. Okay. Bakay has been talking to President Kassat directly. Okay, well, if he was a spy, that kind of makes sense. I'm not really sure that's relevant, but... Alright, screw it. The music's gone, it's all calmed down. We may as well make a note about that. It might become relevant down the line. And indeed, he talked to Kassat directly and didn't inform us. Well, okay, fine. That does actually back up the theory that he might have been a traitor or a double agent. And again, cooperation with these two at the school. Okay, interesting, interesting. Don't know if that necessarily proves anything. We already knew they talked to each other. But admittedly, if he shook hands with the army of Pages, that would strongly suggest that the people in the basement weren't the FTP. The people in the basement were the Pargesian army. And we do know... Oh no, I've got it all wrong. I've got this completely backwards. Because it even said on the school website, hey, we are willing to reach out to the Pargesian army to help us. The people in the basement were not FTP. The people in the basement were the Pargesians. He did the deal with Bakay to actually... Oh no. If the Pargesians were in the basement and the Pargesians were on the same side as the nation, that means the most likely person to do the bombing would have been the FTP. Oh, I may have got this totally backwards. And Raban got it backwards too. He got the wrong end of the stick because he assumed Bakay was involved because Bakay's daughter was absent. But that could have just been a coincidence. That was flimsy as anything. Oh, I wish I'd seen this photo first because that kind of recontextualizes this. And now I'm worried I've got this backwards. And I'm going to guess there's the happy group together. That'll be Ilya. That'll be his wife. Karen, that was it. And that'll be him in the wheelchair. Right. Happier times in 20... Well, not that happy. It was 2013. It was after the tragedy because he's in the wheelchair. But still, vaguely happier times. Okay. Some circumstantial evidence that slightly recontextualizes things, but... nothing that I look at and say, okay, that's absolute proof, but I suspect he didn't need to die. I mean, I suspect he was actually a traitor, but I didn't want him to die. But then, if I'd have known he was a traitor, I would have passed that information over anyway. It's just she got a little bit murder-happy. Oh dear. Oh flipping dear. And one more thing. His browser history. Right, so we know that he visited, Operation Flying Dog. We know about that already. And all of this we've either seen before or does not seem to be pertinent to the case. So, thankfully, nothing too urgent on Raban's PC there. Okay. I think that's just about everything. Anything else new? Or have we gone through it all now? I think we've gone through it all. And there it is on Oleg's phone. That will be a picture of the library that had collapsed. Yeah, that's the library bomb shelter right there. Except, rather interestingly, we had one disputed data chunk I never found the other half of. So Oleg Bakay, his daughter was absent on the day her school was attacked. There's a conflict, but we don't know where it is. We never found it. I did something wrong. Probably It's that I missed a draft, something going on in the people's voice while I was distracted by his computer and by percolinks, which struck me as more relevant at the time, because somewhere out there, there's actually something I have not seen. There's something I haven't seen, but as we apparently now don't have any way to contradict that account, we may as well actually... Oh, not all conflicting data chunks have been found yet. Upload is strongly discouraged. Okay, I won't upload it because there might be really compelling evidence it's not true, so we'll have to leave that. Except possibly I have to, because the woman is no longer contacting me. I think as long as there's still information to be uploaded, I need to upload it, otherwise I can't actually finish off the day. Data chunks can't just be left. So there we are, quite a coincidence, but we don't know if it's true. Oh, sorry, I've just realised what I actually need to upload to get the plot to progress. Yeah, I need to confirm Oleg Bakay is dead. Yeah, that is actually quite important to the case. Yes, sorry, my mistake. Oops. I'm sorry if I shocked you there. Bakay endangered our efforts and our other agents by extension, even you. We can't tolerate that. I would have warned you beforehand, but I feared you'd have second thoughts. We must not be hindered by emotion. You'll learn what it means to be part of the office. Take this as your first lesson. With time, you will... Oh. Hello. The People's Voice is live streaming. Okay, intriguing. Alright, Raban, what are you about to say? Because he promised he was going to break the alliance between Parjes and the nation. Actual proof the national government has been lying to everyone, they have the security footage. Right. They've got the footage because... Oh, I should have known that. Because there's a photo of the library in his phone. He was monitoring it. He set the whole thing up so that we would kill that guy. He probably lied about the whole thing. The whole thing is probably a lie to make us think, because he knew he was being watched, a lie to make us think Oleg was a traitor when he wasn't, so we'd kill him so he could play the flipping podcast and show the footage of us gunning down Parjesian war heroes. Oh, this isn't gonna go well.
My dear followers, yes, this is exactly what you think it is. I found Oleg Bakay. What you see before you is an image obtained from a surveillance camera feed from the ruins of my old school, showing him among soldiers of the nation. These highly trained professionals cowardly shot him, a soldier in service of the Pagesian army while he was hiding away from them. Now, as shocking as that image may be to you, the heinous nature of the national government is laid bare before you. Through their propaganda machine called the National Beholder, they dared to make their false allegations against me and the People's Voice as a whole. They claimed I'd be responsible for Bakay's disappearance, when it was them all along. But why would they murder a fellow soldier when President Kassat and Prime Minister Blaine are such close friends, you might ask? Oleg Bakay was the person responsible for the attack on Prava Secondary, the school I have been principal of a long time ago. And they knew it. They knew the moment he'd turn up dead, everyone would blame me. They took a life, only to shut me up once and for all. But the People's Voice cannot be silenced. So what is there to do for you, my dear followers, against the oppressive force of the national government and the Kassat regime? Do not listen to their corrupt and manipulative media outlets. Do not fail to remind Kassat what has transpired here today. Do not let them sweep this under the carpet, to pass the buck, to influence you with such outrageously false information, to take a life to manipulate your thoughts. Or you may be next. Stand up for your rights and resist Kassat. Resist Blaine. Let's retake our country from President Puppet.
Oh dear. I think I've just been very, very well played there. I think Raban has played me. Oh yeah. The security cameras. And I could have known that was coming because of the picture on the phone, but I didn't even look at the picture on the phone. because I was too busy with... Oh, dear. We have some more containment to do. Yeah, there's going to be severe repercussions. I'm quite bloody sure about that. For now, you may complete your work for today. Click on the door icon in the top right-hand corner of the screen. I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Oh, flipping dear. Oh, flipping dear indeed. Now, if I'd painted Oleg Bakay differently, if I hadn't actually portrayed him as a traitor, there's a good chance he might not be dead right now, because there was a character in the first game who could end up dead or not dead, depending on how you painted them. So potentially he could have been brought in alive. He might have been brought in alive if I'd painted him in a different way. Oh dear. Oh flipping dear, this has gone very much as Raban wanted it to. And that is the end of the first episode thesis. And episode 2 is coming out in a couple of weeks, because yeah, this is how Orwell's always been done. The first Orwell game had 5 episodes, but they're released very, very close together, and you don't like buy the episodes individually. You actually physically can't buy episode 1. They don't nickel and dime you. Basically, it's just a game that comes out in episodic format, but you always just buy the whole thing up front. Oh, it's good. Oh, it's really, really damn good. So, the next episode will be on March 8th, and I will most definitely be covering it, but I would strongly recommend, if you've enjoyed this, yeah, play it for yourself. You can probably find stuff I didn't, because I know for a fact there are data chunks I missed, because I didn't find the other half of a conflict. And I think that's because one of the draft articles, I didn't see that. So I suspect possibly, like, him and his brother communicated in notes on the draft or something, and I didn't see those. So, yeah, I've definitely missed at least something, and I suspect there's probably a way for Oleg to not be dead right now. So you might well be interested in trying to see if that can happen, and that might, of course, have consequences in episodes 2 and 3. But I will definitely be covering episode 2 and 3. Like, this will be wrapped up over the coming weeks, because I think the episodes are coming like 2 or 3 weeks apart, or thereabouts. So, the 3 episodes, and there are 3 episodes making up this, will be coming out very, very soon indeed. I will be covering those. But yeah, thoroughly recommended. If you've liked this, definitely play through it yourself, and enjoy episode 2 and 3 on your own before you watch my playthrough, because these games, oh, they're excellent. I love Orwell. Orwell's a fantastic game. We will be back for episode 2 as soon as I can get my hands on it, ladies and gentlemen. But in the meantime, I've been John. This has been Many a True Nerd, and this has been Orwell, Ignorance is Strength. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Wait, did people just vote out democracy? Hang on, what have you just done? Oh, go on, let's have the greatest Oktoberfest ever. Yay! Spain and Russia have announced a new alliance as a result of the warmongering of certain Central European countries. Oh, well, excuse me! My leader from now on, no weaklings will stand in the way of this country's path to glory. Oh God, Germany, not again!